At the age of 22, I became Miss New Zealand. And then I went on to represent my country in Mrs. World. And during that time, I got a load of love and admiration as I ended up grabbing myself a starring role in one of New Zealand's global hit television series, Xena, the Princess Warrior. Many of you may have heard of this show. Well, I ended up becoming BFFs with Lucy Lawless. And don't tell anybody, I ended up kissing Hercules. And it was during this time that I remember hanging out one night at one of those star parties, with all the movers and shakers in the acting field. And I turned to my partner at the time and I said, I don't know what it is about this celebrity life, but these days it's really starting to get boring. I don't know what the hell it is, but I'm finding it kind of empty. And what he said to me next changed my life forever. I'd like to invite you into the possibility that there are so many different forms of love that we can get to experience in a lifetime. And if you really get to live those many, many different facets of love and tap into your deepest, innermost truth, that is when the real love for yourself starts. I am Sherin Peace. And before I can remember even coming into this world, I got off to a pretty rough start. Sadly, my mum, she was just a child when she fell pregnant with me, and she wasn't ready for me to come into her world. So sadly, she attempted to get rid of me. But I'm proud to say that I am the survivor of a failed abortion. And my blood dad, well, he was even younger than my mum, and he took off and abandoned us way before I can even remember. Sadly, my mum, she was left trying to keep our head above water. And most days, she'd have to take off to work. As she ran out the door, usually running late, she'd throw me a loaf of bread and tell me, stay put until I get home. But I would just, I got so bored. So I would take that loaf of bread under my arm and some hot milk, and I would go down to our local park where all the wildcats hung out. And one by one, I lured 13 cats, 3 puppies, and a duck, and I brought them all home to my house. And they became like my brothers and sisters. They were the only ones in my family that would sit there on my bed and listen to me. I grew a really great connection with the animals in those days. Years later, my mum came home one day and she said to me, honey, this is your new dad. And I looked, I was so excited because all the kids at school had dads that they were talking about. And now I finally had a dad of my own. I was rapt. But as the years went on, there was something strange about this stepdad of mine that just didn't sit well with me. It was just a feeling in my gut. And then as I grew into a curvy young teenager, one morning he jumped into bed with me and way overstepped my boundaries. And it was at that time that I didn't feel safe in my own home any longer. And I wanted to get out. So I ended up running away from home, much to my surprise. I ended up meeting this amazing lady who took me in, and she was our local hairdresser. She gave me a safe place to live, and she ended up taking me under her wing and teaching me the trade of hairdressing. And quite a few years later, I was in the salon and I was doing the hair of this wonderful lady that I became quite familiar with. And she convinced me to enter a beauty pageant. And what do you know? For the few years after that, I ended up winning Miss New Zealand and then going on to Mrs. World. And I think you remember I was telling you about that party of all parties that I was at with my longtime partner. And when I told him I was bored, he kind of looked across at me and said, "What do you mean? Here you are, the belle of the ball. Everyone wants their photo with you and you're bored? What the hell?" And I said, "Yeah, I know. It's just that I feel like there's got to be more to life than this celebrity life." And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, maybe it's time to have a family and get married." And he jumped in the air and threw his arms around me and said, "Oh my God, I can't believe that it's only taken you 7 years to come to that realization. I'm glad that you are finally ready to be loved." And it wasn't long after that we got married and we had the most magical fairy tale wedding. And we went on to have 3 children who were all born in different continents of the world as we traveled in pursuit of business. And I was lucky enough to fulfill a childhood dream of mine while I was married. I ended up hand-raising a baby lion. Yes, you heard me right. A baby lion. We ended up moving our family and taking off to Namibia in Africa. We built ourselves a small shack in the middle of the sand dunes, and we called that shack the Love Shack. And we ended up filling that great little spot with an orphaned baby lion, a feisty little baboon that used to swing from the rafters, the cutest little meerkat that went everywhere down my t-shirt, and a baby leopard that slept with my kids. It was during this amazing time in my life that I realized I had just swapped the cats, the dogs, and the duck for leopards, lions, and meerkats. And all of those animals, they just wanted to be loved like me. This was such an amazing time. And the best part about it, I think, was that I got to be the mother that I'd always dreamed I had. I got to make pancakes for my kids every morning. We would play hide and seek with a lion in tow, and rolling around in bed every morning with my girls, with a leopard pouncing on us. It was just a dream that only I could ever create. It was one of the best times of my life. But sadly, as life ticked on and my 25-year marriage started to deteriorate, this time was heartbreaking. I ended up waking up one morning and my husband was leaving and taking the kids. And I was left distraught. It was like those feelings that I was feeling as a kid when I was left alone for so many hours, just abandoned. I found myself laying on the kitchen floor with what seemed like an eternity in a pool of my own tears, until which time, with the help of a really great therapist, that I had to step up and take full accountability for myself, put on my big girl pants and really take care of myself emotionally, physically, and financially. And it was around that time that I decided to go and marry myself. And that was the best decision that I've ever made. And here is what I learned, that even with the abundance of love when I was married and happy with my children, and the lack of love that I got as a child, and then most recently the loss of love, through all of these different facets of love, the key is to be able to come back to yourself and really love that person who is the most important person in your life, which is you. Here is what is possible for you. And it's the same wish that I have for my children, is that I can be a loving example and a mirror to them, and maybe to those of you who are out here today who are going through a similar journey, to have you realize that you and only you hold the power to create whatever life you choose. You are the creator of your own reality, and you hold the key to your own happiness. Love is always changing. It's evolving just like you and me. Sometimes it will be rich and full. Other times it'll be void and empty. But love is all of these things. And if you can come to the understanding and be comfortable with the fact that all those different facets will be changing on a regular basis, and you can tap into your truth, then you will be able to find that love deep within yourself. And here is how you can get started. Whether you are in a long-term relationship with an abundance of love, with somebody that you are madly in love with, or maybe you are desperately seeking the other half, whatever is the case, take some time for you. Pull away from the chaos of the world and go within, because ultimately you are the person you have been searching for. My wish for you and for the world is that we all get to live the most amazing life, whether you are in love or out of love. Don't let the love of your life dictate the magnitude of your life. And for God's sake, don't play small. When you can do all of this, you will create the most amazing love with the most important person in your life, which is you.